Yeah, sorry it's been a while since I last uploaded, but trivial matters like work and life keep interrupting my glorious work here on theyoutube.com. And hell yeah, that's the title of this video, but it's technically not mine, so I can't be sued, Disney. But also it's not clickbait. And I'll explain that in a moment. But first, I'm going to talk about Star Wars. God, with this bird, fuck off! My subscribers will probably have guessed that I have a love for Star Wars, but it's more than that. Star Wars, I think, I speak for many people, defines who I am today. My career and subsequently what I love doing. However, as a, shall we say, natural cynic, I'm well aware that any franchise is open to exploitation with the aim of finding out just how many wads of cash corporate executives can fit one up's wart-ridden arsehole. Any franchise, no matter how beloved, can be run into the ground from a combination of overexposure and over-marketing. Easy example, Fast and fucking Furious. That's probably one of the titles, actually. The Fate of the Furious was released so soon after Furious 7 that I legitimately thought that the trailer for Fate of the Furious was still for Furious 7. You've ever wondered how that board meeting went? Free the Furious. No. The Furious Fat. The Fat Furious. Fast, Furious Fate. God, I have so much cash up me bum right now. Then this started to apply to Star Wars. The hype for the last release, Rogue One, had just died down. We were given a teaser for The Last Jedi, a full 8 months before its release date. All Star Wars, all the time, constant hype, constant products, constant keeping the brand in the spotlight. Because that's what it is now, people said. It's really a brand. And despite being a fan, a lifelong fan, it already feels relentless. Watching a Star Wars film for me at least should be a special experience, like losing your virginity or your first car crash. But in the few years Disney have taken ownership, I'm already starting to feel its hollowness. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed The Force Awakens and Rogue One, but they undeniably feel lesser now that this stuff is being released yearly. Yearly films reduce the value of something that we once had to wait several years for. Oversaturation always kills. Obviously for some, this will be a joy. A chance to see their favourite franchise more frequently, but that brings me to a second problem. The Force Awakens takes place 32 years after the original trilogy. In 32 years' time, this is the scope of innovation and design improvement that has occurred in universe by one of the most powerful organisations around. All the science and materials and the greatest minds in the galaxy, and this is your improvement to the most fragile icon of the franchise. A bloody paint job. You know, it's funny actually, in the 32 years not a lot has changed. Things look the same, the ships are the same shape, the same people are in the same positions, the same kind of planets, the New Republic is just corrupt as the Old Republic, there's an empire, there's not an empire, there's a rebellion, there's not a rebellion, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Oh look, the rebellion is on a jungle planet again, how clever. I wonder if it's a secret base. It treads very familiar ground. And though it's not out yet, this is something I can sense, forgive the pun, from The Last Jedi. The same kind of visuals, the same elements, possibly elements of the same story. It sticks firmly on familiar ground and it's not accidental. Take for example this thing. Just look at it for 1 second. Right. It has the wings of a TIE Interceptor, the body of Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, and the cockpit has had the design of the command shuttle from The Force Awakens, one of the few slightly new designs of the film that I actually like, jammed into it. And they didn't change the shape of the access hatch to match this new form, so it's quite literally trying to jam a circle onto a square. It's a portmanteau of decades old work. Some might call it homage, others a callback. For me, as someone who got into design because of Star Wars, it looks lazy. Say what you will about George Lucas, and fairly sure he was huffing glue half the time, but he at least tried to expand his vision. The prequels weren't popular at the time, but have been given a damn sight better reputation in retrospect. He tried to build a universe and expand his vision outside the sphere of the original trilogy that so defined the series. And though people weren't initially happy for it, it was an exercise in creativity that is getting more and more credit now, because it's obvious that the original trilogy defines the series overwhelmingly. It's what the majority of fans love and want to see more of. So, The Force Awakens was patterned after it to take full advantage of that. Few risks were taken. Nothing truly new was attempted. And I know new is an odd word, but it was a safe movie. It was a step above a remake. It was meant to capitalise on the nostalgia of the original, which makes me wonder, what the hell was Rogue One for? Rogue One and The Force Awakens are the same kind of movie, built to earn off the nostalgia of fans of the original trilogy that so dominates the mindset of the public when they think of Star Wars. Again, I'm not bashing the films, I like these movies a lot, and I'm not saying I'm soured on the franchise, but I'm just sceptical that behind the immense work that comes from experienced professionals who love what they do and what they're working on, it can't be denied that they were market-perfect products. There were products that were very carefully designed to capitalise as much as possible, take no bets or risks, and have as wide a net of appeal. And I feel that's what they'll be from now on. Every year, products, milking it for all they're worth, following only tried and true methods, never quite pushing the boundaries that they once did. I recognise that I'm being negatively speculative, and maybe this says more about Hollywood than Star Wars. The Last Jedi is not out yet, and I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But when it comes to massive corporations like Disney, cynicism is always healthy.
The end of a regime that acquiesces to disorder.
Which brings me to the important part. Star Wars Battlefront 2, published by Electronic Arts, not to be confused with Star Wars Battlefront 2, is out tomorrow. And from all accounts, it's an incredibly immersive, spectacular and amazingly authentic gambling simulator that pressures players into buying loot boxes, which have a chance of providing items that give advantages in-game earlier than they would otherwise. It's pay to win. But more than that, it's not a simple exchange of value. Depending on your interests, you have a chance to get items that are worthless. And only after reaching a limited number of milestones or playing the game for an arbitrary amount of time, that is unless you pay. That is gambling. Gambling for an advantage. When called out on it, the community manager tried to defend it by posting what would become the most downvoted post in Reddit history. Yeah, well done. Well done, EA. You made Reddit look reasonable. It's gotten so bad that Belgian regulators are now investigating if it qualifies as gambling or not. The sheer shamelessness of this whole thing can put the entire games industry at risk of strict regulation. And now remember, this isn't some Battlefield title, conceived during the 5 hours when EA decides World War II might be a new and exciting place to set a video game. This is Star Wars, using the Star Wars IP, and collaborating exclusively with our mouse overlords. The single-player story is canon and officially part of the Star Wars universe. And amongst the regular gamers that will be playing it, a lot more casual Star Wars fans will be too, and a lot of them will be kids. Yeah, it's restricted to age 16, but who calls the gamer police? Yes, it's a beautiful game, and many hours of work from talented people went into it, but corporate executives could not accept making a lot of money. As opposed to a fuckload of money. Bum stuffing must clearly be an expensive hobby. I could go on about the gaming side of this, but other YouTubers more relevant than me will have covered this already, so I'll approach this holistically. This is a AAA video game, a massive, canonical addition to the most popular movie franchise ever made, and that encourages gambling, because that's what it is, on top of a minimum $60 price tag, to an audience composed of a lot of young kids. A game made with Disney's cooperation. How much more soul can you suck out of something? The fact that both the game and the movie are being released near Christmas is no coincidence either. What better time to offer deals when the hype of the film was high and draw millions of teens with infinite disposable income into playing a game that is designed to make you spend nearly $100 to play as one of the main characters of the series. This has all been designed. It's not an oversight, it's not messing up the numbers. Carefully designed to take advantage of people who have less self-control to resist the completely understandable temptation of trying to even the playing field. Parents all over will buy this for their children, unaware that they're exposing them to a predatory system of exploitative gambling. And this has Disney's blessing. It's despicable. I'm on record saying that children get too much protection sometimes, but this is something that is genuinely dangerous. This is something that tears families apart. This is in Disney's house, and their silence condones this. Again, my quarrel with this is not to the developers and the people who actually made the game. This was a corporate decision, done out of loyalty to their bank balance, not to the franchise or the fans. Star Wars, I fear, is ever running the risk of saying self-derivative and oversaturated, left to copying and slightly retweaking its own success endlessly, but now more dangerously, it has been shamelessly exploited in a cynical crash grab. The great content and gameplay that is almost universally agreed upon is irrelevant when you consider the context that this stuff operates on. And yeah, of course, Star Wars has always been corporocratic and self-exploitable. Hell, it's one of the reasons the old expanded universe was lame. Shut up, it was lame. How many people remember this git favourably? It's a green rabbit. Yeah, someone once thought this was a good idea. It's a fucking green rabbit who's a friend of Han Solo. What the hell did Greedo do when there's this gob-coloured prick just asking for it? And let's be fair, we the fans have kind of asked for this. People lap this up unquestionably. It's not like Disney came up with this strategy out of the blue. From EA, sure, we expect them to be sleazy, like a grifter who gives you a hand job but charges you by the minute. The loathing of the prequel trilogy signalled to Disney that the core market weren't ready for something that didn't emulate the classic Star Wars. and thus business saw that and probably felt backed into a corner. That was until the generation that did watch the prequels and appreciated them grew up. Now, I don't hope for failure. I want to be surprised and enthralled by the next Star Wars. I want to be inspired by it again. I want to be able to overlook the business decisions and accept the fantasy unconditionally like I once did. I'm not a Disney basher by nature. And I appreciate that Star Wars will always be commercialised. I'm far from against that. But I had hoped for a fresh start, a time of breaking away from the overbearing and domineering legacy of the originals and telling their own story, with new designs, a new look, and most importantly, new ideas. And the newest idea so far is that turning the biggest Star Wars game ever made into a virtual casino would be a good plan. Close second is the revolutionary idea that a woman can be the main character. It's exploitation. It's soulless, and this is the future of the universe that is a critical part of who I am today. The one that shaped the landscape of all human entertainment is reduced to ticking boxes, and it pisses me off. As if we weren't fucked enough. And this is the change that has occurred to a TIE fighter over 32 years. Because cashing in on fan nostalgia always beats coming up with something better than a golf ball and radiator panels. I wish the Force be with you for the eve of Star Wars Battlefront 2, but that would probably cost $80 extra. Rodent. Piece of shit.